Hey everyone, it's Alex from Business Growth Bureau along with Rupert Honeywood. What we're actually going to be doing now is a bit of a bonus session really in terms of how to market your business on a bit of a budget. And the reason we're tackling this is from our LinkedIn community and our webinar community. We're finding, especially in a lot of startup businesses, their budget is actually quite low in terms of what you'd expect for marketing. It's actually around the kind of the £2,000, £5,000 a year budget now. Although you can still do a lot with that money, is we want to try and make every penny of that kind of go as far as it can. So what we're going to be talking about over the next few minutes is actually the top platforms and the top ways of marketing right now. Some quite conventional routes, but also some that you may not have thought of. So in terms of right now, Rupert, what is the number one, would you say, for B2B marketing at the moment?
Well, in terms of the social media platforms, probably the best one, the B2B space or business space, is LinkedIn.
And what would be shortly after that?
Shortly after that is potentially Facebook and potentially Instagram, depending what type of product or service you've got.
So it'd probably be a really good time to mention, like, as we all know, that Facebook and Instagram are great if you're a visual individual, if you've got a visual product, so like a clothing brand, a product in that kind of space. But it still also can be quite good for even services that we provide, like in terms of you can put out inspirational stuff. It's also free, it's organic, and if you do it right and you use there's a lot of good Google tips on how to grow your Instagram feed and your Facebook feed and so on and so forth. There's a lot of organic reach you can actually get through there. In terms of LinkedIn, why is that so good?
Well, LinkedIn, it's very much seen as a professional community, and there are about 700 million people worldwide on it, and about 23 million people in the UK. And the engagement rates on LinkedIn are very high, generally, if you connect and engage with people in the right way. The other good thing is that even with the free version of LinkedIn, you can still do quite a bit. You will start to hit serious limitations if you start getting quite active on it. But even if you had to upgrade, that probably is the equivalent of about £60 or about $75 a month. And you actually get some very powerful tools in the toolbox with that.
And just quickly while we're on LinkedIn, because obviously people in the B2B space might need to know that, is there a limit on how much I can use it?
The free version, you will start to get a notification from LinkedIn. Your account's going to be restricted till the beginning of the following month if you start getting very active. It won't be fully restricted, but there'll be restrictions.
And is there a number cap on that?
I don't know what the number is, and LinkedIn don't necessarily publish it either.
Right.
But if you're using it to a fairly modest extent, that may not be an issue for you. And even if it is, if you upgrade for a month, and you might be able to get a 30-day free trial, you may be able to get around that one. But actually, in real terms, you probably need to ask yourself another question. Is if you genuinely can't afford £60 a month or £100 a month or whatever it may be, whatever platform it is, it may be that your business model actually isn't right, or you're just very, very early startup, because you should be able to afford to invest in some basic forms of marketing, because ultimately you're going to need to really drive things through, and that's the way you can drive things through.
And obviously we spoke about this in other videos, and just to let you know, we do actually have an entire video devoted to kind of lead generation, where we delve in deep in terms of actually what these specific areas look like. But things like the videos you're watching right now, YouTube's a powerful tool. It's free,
yeah,
but also
right.
You can get mass distribution through that as well. What would be another good way that people might not think about in terms of marketing right now?
Well, there's a very unsexy version of marketing, but especially if you're in the small business space, and that is networking and joining certain network organizations. Now, you do get people out there saying it doesn't work, but actually the people who quite often say it doesn't work are the ones because they don't know how to engage with people. Perhaps they can't convey their core proposition properly. So the big benefit with networking is if you develop a relationship of trust and do it right, you can pick up some really, really nice clients through it. The other on the downside of it is not very scalable. So it's worth doing, but as part of a balanced portfolio of marketing.
And what are the thoughts at the moment on things like direct mail through the post and email campaigns, especially as well?
Email campaigns, obviously in Europe and the UK, you've got things like GDPR, which can be a bit of a pain, which is a regulated framework. But let's say you've got an opted-in list, so we avoid going down that particular route. Email can work very well, but it can be difficult to rise above a lot of the noise because there is actually so much stuff being pushed out there all the time. But you can get some pretty amazing results if you do things the right way. But it's all the time, which I know you're very passionate about. I was about sharing massive amounts of value and doing quite a bit for that for free. And that but it helps to accelerate the relationship of trust, so people want to then be able to transact with you. Mail through the post is almost so uncool it's become cool again. Probably because so few people are doing it. But obviously the cost per letter, especially by the time you include the time in actually printing the letter out, putting it in an envelope and posting it, all the other stuff around it, is high. But for the certain types of products or services, it can work well.
Yeah, but bear in mind as well, things like Google pay-per-click, obviously depending upon what industry you're in, pay-per-click is only a click on a website.
Quite.
And that could sometimes, I've seen it up to be £50, £60 per click.
It can be.
In some of our clients' industries. So a letter through the post, handwritten, maybe take you 10 minutes. Or typed out on a computer might take you 10, 15 minutes. Sending it's not going to cost any more than £5. So sometimes direct mail through the post to specific clients with a key message in it might actually be not a bad way of doing it.
Yeah, quite. And especially, again, if you're offering a fairly high product or high value product or service, and what you have to offer is fairly unique. And of course, a halfway house between that is you might be able to use some form of leaflet drops as well through people's doors. But that for a lot of business, that's not suitable for other types.
Yeah, and of course. And something I think would be worth just going back to very quickly. I'm a massive advocate of voice, video, so on and so forth. And you'd obviously understand that if you followed us so far on the video series, or if you're on our podcast community. But voice and video, I think, are a massive part in the future. Time, as you know, is an incredibly important asset. It's the only commodity we can't make more of. So what you should really be thinking about is obviously, how do I get in front of my clients? How do I get in front of the ideal people? But don't think about that in a physical sense. How can you get in front of them in terms of the audio that they consume by you, or the visual that they consume by you as well? So think about posts, think about posters, think about content on YouTube, on Instagram, and so on and so forth. These platforms, especially in the next 5 years, I think are going to be very, very crucial in terms of where we're going. And especially, and hopefully our podcast community agree, that that's an extremely important area. Voice is, because you can do that on the go. Video, you can't watch video while you're driving, but you can listen to podcasts. Audible proves that. These kind of methods of voice while you're driving, especially if it's good content, voice is an incredibly important part of the future. Sorry.
Yeah, no, quite.
Cool.
And I think it's really interesting as well to look at the people who are around you. So, for example, we've got a very good relationship with someone who specialises in customer services. And the amount of value that she can share with other people is phenomenal. So the video doesn't have to be, if you want to put stuff on YouTube, for example, doesn't have to, or have podcasts that matter, doesn't have to be all about you. It could be about bringing other people around you, which complement what you have to offer.
Which would probably be a good time to mention it. Not this week because he's away, but next week and the week after that, we've actually got two kind of special guests coming in where they talk about things like strategic narrative and stuff like that. Now, although we don't personally do that, that's one of our clients who provides that service. Now, he's just going to be providing pure value around that. So, although you might not specifically talk about that subject that you do, you can plug people in around you, not only to show that you're the expert in that field, but you can potentially open up those doors for other people. What else in terms of marketing can we do on a bit of a budget?
So a good thing is you can actually experiment with a number of different mediums, as it were. So, for example, again, we talked about Instagram already. We've already talked about Twitter is also an interesting one. In fact, we're having this debate just a moment ago. Twitter is almost seen, I wouldn't say as being uncool at the moment, but actually, if you've got a lot of very valuable content to share, you can create an interesting article, put that out there on some form of posting platform, use a link, and then obviously drive people through to those articles, which again is about presenting you as an expert in your particular space. So some of the ones which were massive a year ago and are still massive now, but perhaps not quite as trendy as they were, still can give you a very good voice.
Cool. I think that we'll probably kind of finish it off there. Because we've got an entire bit on terms of marketing already. Yeah. As I said, we've got a series along somewhere over on our website, on YouTube channel, that you can actually view our lead generation side of things, where we talk in depthly about different platforms, how to really use them quite well. And we've also got a bit about prospect nurturing as well. As we always say, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Alex Smith and this is Rupert Honeywood.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Great. Cheers.